Right. So this is the review of the civil action cover sheet. It's the first kind of peer review. We've had one SME review with Benjamin from Suffolk. Previously, an error that we had made was we created a branch in the MA virtual courts where we were doing all our work, and we were that was obviously erroneous. So we decided that now was the time to take that branch out of MA virtual courts. So on Teaching Tuesday, we forked it and deleted a bunch of files and made our own repo, which Suffolk now has ownership of. There's been a little problem there. I'm not too sure what's going on, but the changes that we'd most recently made weren't brought through, or we couldn't find them. So when Lance and I were just running through prior to this demo, we were struggling a little bit, but we have found the code that Michelle and I worked quite extensively on in terms of, so it's not the end of the world, but it's just something that we wanted to raise because we are going to have to sit down and try and do a overview. Our code is all over the show, basically. So that, yeah, I know. Okay. So Lance is going to share his screen because he has the one that we've been working on. This demo, I mean, it's, I can also link the PDF.
Can you hear us, Maeve?
No. What did someone say?
I didn't hear anything before.
That's okay. Nope, keep going. If you can hear us, that's fine. Just wasn't sure.
I just want to post, I'm going to post the link to the PDF in the chat so that everyone can see what it looks like. Just some background for those of you who aren't familiar with it. You basically, it's just a cover sheet that gets put on top of your complaint in the Superior Court. And it allows the clerk to see very quickly what your matter is about and how to assign it in terms of like length of time for trial and all of that kind of stuff. So it's really a formality. It's according to our SME, it's really completed by attorneys. And
with help from the court.
With help from the court.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna paste it in the chat here. Doing a demo is very nerve-wracking. You guys have all done it so calmly. Okay, so I pasted the PDF.
You're all like looking so angry at it. No, just kidding.
Okay, so Lance, you're gonna share your screen.
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
There's a couple of things that we went through that we were like, we didn't add this in. So the first thing that, I know we strictly speaking don't have language, but I mean, if we have quick language questions, is it okay to mention them? I mean, so for example, this we changed, we included Quinton's code snippet that said, ask the court for, I think it's the variable was interview short title or something. But neither ask the court for nor respond to a worked in this case. So this is what we put in instead. I'm just flagging that.
That's a code issue, Maeve. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think that's a code issue because I just put that into my branch editing the contempt and I can't get it to work either. So that, I think maybe there's something there. There's something else somewhere.
So
it looks like Maeve's changed it, but it's just
it's
using a different verb. Right?
It worked for us. Just the term didn't work either. Ask the court
ask
for.
The court. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
okay, never mind.
Yeah.
All right, so that's my.
Sorry. We just put the line in there. We just changed the wording. So that's just something to flag for maybe language review. Okay, next screen.
Okay.
So now what we were thinking is that because it's an attorney, so bearing in mind that it's most probably going to be an attorney completing this, we kind of want to reduce the number of clicks. So combining this screen with the intro screen. So just, I mean, I don't know if someone's going to be like annoyed to have the basic screens.
Yeah, our idea was basically take this sentence and put it on the screen beforehand.
I think that makes sense. I think that anyone who comes here will come here because they know they need a civil action.
Right.
It's not like someone is going to come here and
Do we
Yeah.
have a way to include that on the previous page without having you make a custom?
Well, why don't we, what the other thing to do, is look at the screen after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead
It
of
also,
trying to put it into this screen, see if you can put it into the screen after that.
it also
So-
may not be necessary.
And you
I
may
mean,
not need it, exactly.
it's saying you need to file this form. If you're filing this form, you already know you need to file this
Yeah.
form.
Yeah.
So your suggestion is actually just to cut it out completely.
To get rid of it, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So now this is still problematic. I'm not sure why. Usually, so we need to get rid of the placeholder text. But what would happen is, if you say you aren't an attorney, it shouldn't show a question that says you are the attorney later on, but for some reason it's still getting triggered. So perhaps we should go through and just show that way. So if you aren't, so maybe Lance, if you say you're not an attorney.
Right. If you say yes, you're there are questions, but when you say no, you get later on.
Or
So.
maybe you should just show it. So maybe you just show the question. Sorry, I forgot about those.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So are you an attorney? If you are an attorney, are you representing a plaintiff? Because basically what Benjamin said was that you could be an attorney who's representing themselves. As a kind of, I can't remember if he said it was an edge case or if it happened quite frequently. I think we made the joke about, an attorney who represents themselves has a fool for a client. But I don't know if, what do
The
people
thing
think about
is, if
this?
you're representing yourself, you could also be a the thing that's confusing about that, if you're representing yourself, you could be the plaintiff as well. I mean, I think that's just confusing.
Okay, so what would you?
I would say one question that says, are you an attorney representing someone else?
I concur.
Yes or
Okay.
no?
So
Okay.
I've made a note of that.
So
Wait,
yeah. Anyway, we'll say no up here.
Awesome.
Okay.
And if
So-
you were to say no to that plaintiff, would you not ask for the BBO number?
It doesn't. It's not set up to, right? If you say you're an attorney and you're not representing a plaintiff, it doesn't ask for the BBO.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So we changed
so I
that.
think-
We changed that to
To one
are you
question.
an attorney representing someone else? Okay. So
Right.
now what we're doing
I'm-
is triggering the no. So there shouldn't, strictly speaking, be any questions about you being an attorney, but I think there might still be. We're not great at doing this, are we? Okay. So what is your address? What is your name? Now this question is being pulled through all of a sudden. What, Caroline?
Who's the you?
Those little baby voices in the background, they're just cracking me up. I'm just, it's grandmother envy, you know.
Who asked who's the you? Because I have that question too.
Oh,
That was me.
so the you is the person, the user, the plaintiff in this case.
And you answered
Right.
no, there's no attorney, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we did answer no, there's no attorney, but that's something that Maeve and I kind of talked about, is that the varying uses of you it's just not necessarily clear. So we'll need to fix this. But as Maeve started to say, this question was just magically appeared in our code. Maybe it was in basic questions.
Yeah, that's the gathering users. That's what
Yeah.
happens when you
Okay.
gather users.
Okay.
Somewhere you're using users, plural by itself, and it wants to find all the users. So you're not doing
Okay.
zero, you've got users, right?
But the thing is, I
it will
can't
require
imagine
for the cover sheets. So a solution to that is to just say that there's only one person using the
User,
form.
yeah.
That's the best way to work around that.
So the suggestion here would be to just say what, like how we set the user role as plaintiff, because the user is always going to be the plaintiff in this case. Do we just set, like, user, like how would we do that?
Would it be target number, or would you just say gathered?
There is code that just says equals 1 or something. There's some code. I just put it into the interview I was working on, and I got it somewhere.
Could you just drop that in the code channel for us, Caroline?
I think one way is to say that there is another is equal to false. That's another.
That's right. That's what I did. Yeah.
Okay.
There is another.
I'm never sure which ones of those need to be set. I'm always hearing something different in my head.
I think actually this specific example is on the docassemble, the GitHub repo for our project, the assembly line repo.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So I'll just click no here.
Yeah.
And defendants got bigger too, right?
So something has changed on the screen, because usually it would just say, yeah, this is pulling through a different question. I think initially it was other parties, like who's on the other side of this case or something. So I'm not sure if something was changed in basic questions, because this is pulled through from basic questions.
Right.
That is a change in basic questions,
Okay.
yes. So we changed it to have this more specific language.
Okay. I'll just put 1, JJ.
Okay, so this is the defendant's address.
Right.
Okay, so this is what we've worked on quite extensively. So
it's beautiful, by the way.
Lance, could you just quickly show, if you open up the Zoom chat and you just look at the PDF itself, just so we can show people what we're...
I don't know where to give the chat.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff there.
Because I'm sharing.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I'll just drop it in the Slack.
Yeah, there, and I can drag it over. That's probably easier.
Okay. Okay, I've put it in your Slack. So basically, what happens here is that this form gathers a lot of information, but it depends on what kind of
you all
case
can
you
see
have.
that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you see, there's a couple of checkboxes here. Jury claim. There's a class action claim. Claim on the GLC 93A. And then there's one more checkbox. And then the other thing is that we didn't want the user to have to click through all the questions about tort claims and contract claims if they didn't have a tort claim or contract claim. So we kind of gathered, and because it's an attorney again, or in our mind it's generally going to be an attorney, we have all of those on one page so that they can quickly identify what they need to complete. So that I think the first 3 are simple checkboxes, so they're not actually linked to any further questions. But tort claims, contract claims, and related actions, so those all link to further questions. So if Lance, maybe if we just check them all and we show what happens. But basically, if you don't check them, further questions don't appear.
Do or do not?
Do not. So if you do
not.
check
If
them,
if you don't check them here, yeah.
If you do check them, then it triggers questions. Okay, thanks, David.
Bye, David.
Bye, David.
Bye, David.
If you do check them, it'll trigger certain questions about tort, contract, and related actions. If you don't check them, then it'll basically just jump to the next question, which is about the type of track.
Yeah, which we'll get to. But here, I'll go to this one. Here it is.
So this is the track. This appears regardless of, and I'm not sure, maybe we should change the order a little bit. This is, Lance, you had a question about this, about the database. And maybe you can just show the second page of the PDF if you just scroll down a little bit.
You see on the, there, yeah, it's already open. Here, I'll make this bigger. You need to fill in what type of action it is, and there are three fields: the code number, type of action, and the track. And all those things have to, again, this is just to kind of sort the documents for the court. And so our question was, and we still don't know if it makes sense. Is it worth programming them in so you have a drop down? If you pick A1, then contract action and A fills in already. Or if you know, we just leave it like it is. Benjamin told us that lawyers don't know these. It isn't as if, you know, they're all memorized and, oh, this is an AA1, right? So I don't know if that helps or, you know, if it would be helpful to kind of fill it in or not.
Could you in the choices, if you have the drop down and have the choices, could you have the text that is next to the choice? And I know that's a lot of text to enter in, but the text that's on the PDF, so they don't have to go looking it up.
So they could start kind of what Quentin was saying, that box where it's like a combo where they can start typing, say like they know what type of action.
I think it really depends on the depth of knowledge that the attorney has, because they might need to look at the whole, because this would be definitely SME question, and also how many attorney, I mean, a lot of people don't do this.
Yeah,
don't
it's done by the clerks
cover
usually.
sheet. So it might be like, you know, like when you file taxes, you don't always know. I mean, you could do a farm, but you don't even know what the options are. And I think even here, you might look under contract business, but it belongs under real property. You might look under and miscellaneous. So you might not even know what category, let alone text. So you'd have to have a drop down of all the text. And I'm guessing that's the way it is, but you would only know that if you talk to a variety of attorneys. And then the attorneys who are using, I mean, I almost think that attorneys who do this all the time would not use the doc assemble interview, because it's just easier for them to do what they always do. And so what you're aiming at is attorneys who do this occasionally, maybe. But I think this is a research question more than, before you start just figuring out technology answers, is to really figure out who's going to be using this and what would be the easiest way for them to use it.
How long is the list? Can we see? Is it just the one page, or are there?
Yeah.
more?
Yeah, it's just a one page. That's it.
Okay.
Right? It's, you know, more or less all on the same page there.
I mean, we could make it into a database.
Right. Or I mean,
But I
it could
mean,
just
we
be a
do want to
spreadsheet,
find
really.
out first, like Caroline said, we do want to find out first what would be most useful to our users.
Right.
Because for some people, the easiest thing to do would just see the whole thing at once, you know, which is what makes sense to do it as a PDF or an HTML page. I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, well, you know, you heard me, so yeah.
Or it could end up being like, you choose the top level category and then you say which one underneath. So it might be like there's a really small guided interview for that portion of it, where it's like 2 or 3 questions to help them choose the right topic. Although you might not know, but even harder for someone who hasn't.
Right.
Yeah, if you don't know what if you don't know what is in there, and it might be really annoying to have to answer all these questions where you could just look at one screen and figure out what it is. You know?
That's a good point.
Well,
too.
you could have a like checkbox above it that says, I need, you know, more guidance, or I'd like, you know, or I don't know which of these items is mine, or whatever. And that could lead you to a page or a button that says, I don't know what these items are. And that could lead you to more questions that are guided questions.
Yeah.
I am thinking like a quick MVP thing, though, is to probably not make someone type all 3 pieces of information in, because they seem like they're linked. So can we go back to the screen?
Sure. Yeah, if you type in this AA1, then it's only contract action and only track A. Right. So once you put in that, we can have the rest fill in.
And with that,
or we don't even. I mean,
you don't even have to ask it. Yeah.
It doesn't even need to. Yeah, it doesn't even need really to fill in, does it? I mean, you just get a selection, and you say, oh, it's this. I mean, all those numbers don't matter really. You could use this in plain English. Choose. Right, and then the form would fill in with the right codes. But
yeah, if the codes aren't going to be useful to someone, I'd put the list of all the items in the actual text, and then you'll
fill in
get the code.
Yeah,
like the type of action is really that's the
distinguishing.
Yeah, that's a distinguishing feature. Exactly.
Right. Okay.
So and then when you're saying like, okay, so you type, someone will select that. I like the idea of a combo box that they can type or drop down. how does it connect to the other information? Is that a database? How do we do that?
So I would think there's a lot of different options. Like one, you could make a class. That would be like a really robust way to do it. Another way would be just to make a list of dictionaries, and each item would be grouped as one dictionary, where it would be like, if we go back to the sheet, it's, well, this would work too. So it's like item 1 dot code number, item 1 dot description. I don't know what the end action, I forget the names were now.
Yeah. Well, we just tried summary, code number, type of action, track.
Track,
right.
That was it.
Yeah, that's that little letter in parentheses.
And each of those actually gets entered onto the form, is that right?
Yeah.
Or you enter all 3 pieces of information?
If you just scroll up a little bit, if you just scroll up a little, Lance, you can see on the, so you put the code number, the type of action, and the track, and then
right here, yeah.
So there are options for others. So if you just scroll down again, within the subcategories, you'll see, for example, D99. You've got other equity action there. Right. So when it's other, then you have to specify.
I see.
Oh, you have to specify what other, so within that category, what other it is. So it's other real property or other equity or, yeah.
I see. So yeah, most of them seem, but not all of them. Like there's none for state municipality.
No. It's very rare throughout the thing. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
So you do need to give them the option to do one that isn't on the list?
Sometimes it looks like, right? Well, it's really,
no, it will be on the list.
Other, but it's,
It triggers a question of, there's going to be 4 that trigger a question of specify what the other is.
Okay.
So it has a code, but the code requires extra explanation.
Right.
Yeah. So basically,
and we solved it this way. If other, please describe.
This is an MVP solving.
Yeah.
But yeah, ideally we'd want this to be triggered. So if they select one of those 4 codes, then it'll just say, please specify, or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and again, what I seem to recall Benjamin telling us is that most attorneys fill this form out at the courthouse, and most of them ask what should be included. So maybe even this list isn't descriptive enough for someone, right? If they ask what it should be, this is what my case is about. Which of these should I choose, right? I mean, I don't know if it isn't clear that having these longer descriptions is going to be sufficient to explain to people what to put in there.
But it might be sufficient for MVP, better than just having the court codes, right? Not court codes, the whatever codes, actually.
Right.
Whatever codes.
What do we call them? The code number, right?
Yeah.
So should we try with, I just noted here, you said either you can have a class or a list of dictionaries with each item being, what would be, in your professional opinion, what would be the better way?
So this list is pretty static. So I kind of like to use the data initial block in DocAssemble. It's pretty handy. I'm going to link it on the code channel. So you can kind of use the YAML structure to write out the information. And it could have multiple levels. I think the examples there are pretty good for showing you how to do different things.
Okay.
And if not, come to us.
Yeah.
Don't spend more than 20 minutes
you
trying to
asked for
figure it
it.
out. Yep. Don't spend more than 20 minutes trying to figure it out.
Another option is obviously a spreadsheet. And then you could export the spreadsheet to either JSON or CSV format. And then JSON is actually also really easy to load in from a file and have that be kind of like and that might end up being an easier interface to write the information down. Like if you have obviously columns and rows.
Yeah, we could copy that information out of the spreadsheet and put it in, out of the form and put it into a spreadsheet.
So would the question look like, look up the code for the action on, look it up, and then they put the code in, and then the interview pulls in or they put the code in and you can say, this is the action you checked. So they don't have to type in the action. It comes in when they look up the code, they put the code in, and then you say, is this the action? Is this the type of action you mean?
Mm-hmm.
And put it in.
I would I would think that maybe the combo box is good, because either way, if you're sending them to this list,
right,
typing in a name, it might be just as easy, or it might be stickier in their head than the code. But you could have the combo box have all three parts. Well, probably not the track, because that's
remember, if they
too
are
small a token.
on their phone, again, it's this idea of space.
Right.
You're right. You know, I mean,
I would think a combo box would be good. So I'd probably have the first two columns be visible in the combo box, and then you're selecting a row, an item in the list of that spreadsheet.
Okay, so we do it as a spreadsheet. So we export that data into a spreadsheet, and then we export that spreadsheet into JSON, and then we put the JSON into the docassemble.
It would be a file that you have in the sources folder,
okay,
which is short for data sources, is what that means. Inside the playground, and then you can load it in using objects from file. So that's like a pretty handy technique that you can do.
And then if you have to change anything, you can just change that file. You don't have to change the code.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be, I think, the way to go with it eventually.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
And then I'm just thinking now, in terms of like just how the spreadsheet will look. I've never really worked with like JSON. Sorry, Lance, if you mind just switching back to the columns and stuff.
Oh, sure.
So we've got like headings and subheadings. So you've got one overarching heading, and then you've got like AC, CN, ER, all of those. What's the best way to like display that in a spreadsheet for this to be effectively, being able to be pulled into the interview?
That's a really good question. So I think I would add that as one more column, that metadata. So you would have one spreadsheet, and then there'd be a column that says category, and the category would match the two-letter code. That's the beginning of all these category descriptions. And then you would just store the mapping inside docassemble, because it's only like 10 items. So in theory, that could be another spreadsheet, but there's no really good reason to do that. I would just store that list in your code and say, all right, when they type CN as the category, that means contract business class cases. That would be my model for that.
I think I get that. Okay.
Would people type in CN versus contract? Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, and that actually is another point. Like, do you think that that's information, the category is helpful for the people filling it in? Or it might be.
It might be helpful in that when they look at this combo box, because the thing is, it's how you organize these. Unless you have two, sometimes you can have two boxes. So that you pick the category, and then what would appear in the second box would be the list. So I'm thinking you could either do it that way, or you could have it in your combo box. You could have the category bold. Because the thing is, these aren't going to be alphabetical, are they? Because they're grouped according to category.
Yeah.
So what happens if you wanted to do sort of E10 summary process appeal? That you're going to have to go way down the list to get to that. How are you going to, you can start to type it, but
and summary process isn't such a good description. Like, that's where I know, like, eviction would be a lot easier for people to understand.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And what is confusing too, I think, is this AC, actions involving state municipality, but they have AA, which they use for administrative civil actions in the code, right? Administrative civil actions are E. Okay. There's no real kind of overarching logic to this.
Okay. Yeah. This is the taxonomy problem. It's like they needed a librarian to come up with these lists. They didn't.
Some court clerk said, "Oh, let's do it this way."
So I mean, thinking now, like how we're gonna go with the spreadsheet route, or we're gonna go with the dictionary or classes.
Well, a spreadsheet, I mean, I think is going to be the easiest, and it's really only about what is the easier way for you to the easiest way for you to represent it, because the computer can handle it either way. As long as all the information's there, then that doesn't really matter. So you could take a look at both approaches, see if you like the data from the data block, the initial data block, or if you think, well, this is more complicated, I'd rather do a spreadsheet, then in that point, it doesn't really matter. It's whichever one is easier for you.
Okay, well, we'll give it a try.
Yeah.
I think you should still link to the PDF in the question.
I agree. For like, that gives you the overview that yeah. And then Caroline's point is also good. Like, do you think people want to select a category and then the information, or is that too narrow? Because if you've already narrowed it down to this has to do with a state municipality, but really you want the administrative civil action one, you're never going to see the option you want.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to include all of these on one list ultimately. Unfortunately, there's no way with a current docassemble object or input type rather to show a heading that isn't selectable as an item.
Okay.
So that's what you were suggesting, Caroline. We can't do that, I think.
I don't know if it's possible with docassemble, but if you included some metadata with each one, would docassemble be able to search for the metadata as well? Because if you start typing in, I don't remember which ones you said were very similar or were confused for each other sometimes. If you started typing in the first one of those and docassemble, the dropdown looked for, the combo box looked for that metadata as well, you could show up the second one of those too, so that you would be seeing related ones together. Do you know if docassemble does that?
So there are two data types that let you select from typing. There's the combo box, which is actually pretty nice because it gives you a drop-down menu also. And you can also enter custom choices, which actually you don't really want here. You don't want people to be able to type in something
that's not on the
And then there's the Ajax interface, where you have full control over how that list is returned, but there's no drop-down menu, and it can be a little bit more confusing. But that would let you do what you're saying, Michelle, if you had that information somewhere to say these two are the same, to return either one when someone starts typing a name that matches part of it.
Okay.
But I'm
it's
also
a shame
wondering,
that you can't have both.
you can't have both. You have to, and they
maybe
both
it's something we could bring up with Jonathan.
He might be willing to make some changes there. Yeah, because actually the Ajax would be great to have that more control. And the key is, like, you want to let people see all of the choices all the time. If there's no selection, actually. And for some reason, when you use the Ajax input, you're limited to having at least 2 characters have to match before it will show any results, which is very confusing.
That. It's really frustrating.
And there's no really good reason for that. That seems like an easy thing for Jonathan to change.
Okay.
I think that must have been when he's like, oh, they're going to be doing some really intensive operation. But if you're just sorting a list of like 100 items, it's not true. It's not going to be very slow to respond.
What if, I mean, maybe this is what you guys are talking about, the technical end, but what if, I keep thinking you might be able to use that X thing, which I just don't understand, but.
What's the X thing?
X is in the object, the generic object.
Right.
So what if you, I'm just like off the top of my head. So you have a link so you can go to the PDF and see the whole thing. But if you had a combo select, what's it called? It's a combo box that just had the categories in it. And when you pick a category, it would be like a show if, and I haven't thought through the way you would do it because my syntax isn't that good. But if you picked one of the categories in show if, but it would be like a show if. So as soon as you picked one of these categories, all of a sudden, it would be like the dictionary of checkboxes for that category would be a show if, and you'd have, you know what I mean? It would be all of those checkboxes in that category would show up. So people could pick that checkbox. And then it would be a quick way to look to see what's in each category, possibly.
It's true. I think that would be a useful like look up interface, but for example, that it leaves out the people who know what it is, but know what category it's in or whatever, and just want to type in the name.
Yeah, I was just thinking, since it's a limit, I think it's easier to figure out what category something's in than to figure out. I mean, if you know what action you want, you're probably okay to figure out the category. But it's the actions, I think, that are going to be more specific and tricky.
It's an interesting question because, well, I'm wondering if it's the opposite because category problems are pretty tricky sometimes.
No, I just meant if you do this all the time and then you're good, right?
That's true. Yeah, that's I think the difference.
Benjamin kind of indicated that even if you are doing this all the time, it's generally the clerks that are filling this line in.
Okay. It's not the attorneys.
No, he said this kind of gets done at, Lance, correct me if I'm wrong, but he said
that was my impression as well.
Yeah.
So just leave it blank?
They can just leave it blank, yeah.
Oh.
That's why, it shouldn't be a required thing.
Okay, so that actually makes me think.
Maybe not.
Well, is there a benefit for the person filling it out to have done this? Like, I guess maybe that you make the clerk your friend if you do know.
Yeah, clerk is happier, everyone's job is easier.
And none of the other, well, maybe it is, because I was going to say none of the other questions depend on your answers to this. Like the thing is it's a jury trial, and your question on the form it says, is there a jury trial for this case, right? So
I think all of these case types probably could have a jury trial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
so that wouldn't.
Yeah.
That question, that tick box Ben said was more like you're asking for a jury trial. And I imagine that all of them could have
your request, yeah.
You could request.
Well, what about this then? Make this optional and say, do you know the civil action code that describes your case? If you don't, the clerk will fill it in, and then just have them type those 3 digits and don't have them type the other information. Have that still be filled in from the spreadsheet. You match those 3 digits to the rest of it, because it's only for experts, it sounds like. It's not for ordinary users.
So do you know the civil action code?
Make it like the docket number, like where we ask for a docket number.
Right.
But we know a lot of times they don't have a docket number yet, or they don't know it, and it's okay. But it does depend on the clerk a little bit whether it's
but the thing is, you can also link to this, so they could look it up quickly, right? Or they could get the court to do it. But if they do know, if they do look up the code, then the spreadsheet will fill in the rest on the template.
So we save them the extra typing of the rest of it.
Okay.
And they don't have to worry about improving the combo box or Ajax input.
That's a good idea.
About that at all.
Okay.
I like it. That's much more simple.
No, this was a good exercise.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I was going to say it
wasn't a tech problem.
Yeah.
But you're saying they just type in free text the code?
The 3-digit code, and you can validate it. I mean, you can. I don't see any benefit for having it be a drop down. Well, the problem with the combo box is, again, it lets you add something that's not in the list, which is too bad.
Oh, right.
Well, doesn't it have to validate it to fill in the other boxes?
Yes. So you could say, hey, that's a validation. You can have validation on the field, just like we do to make sure that it's a valid number, or we can say, okay, is it in this list of valid codes? And if not, we can stop them from clicking next.
Right.
If it's not valid.
Please enter a correct code or whatever we say.
Yeah. Can you
we won't make it be up or lowercase. That's something to keep in mind. Make sure it's case insensitive.
And you could do validation on a non-required field?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you can.
It either needs to be empty or it needs to be on the list. So empty can be a valid value.
So they just delete everything in the box if they give up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Though I don't know how to clue them in. If they've already typed it in, I mean, possibly you could have a checkbox that says, I don't know, and then it disables the field. That's the other thought.
That's a good action. I like that option actually. Because then you don't even show them a field. They think, oh, I have to put something in here.
Right.
Ask them right up front, do you know the code? If they say yes, show them the input. Don't even show the input until they say yes.
Right. Right.
Okay. Well, we will play around with that. Look forward to seeing some updates in the next demo. Okay.
It sounds like a lot easier, a lot more simple though. We got to a place where it's a lot more simple.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk it out.
Okay, so I'll back to the interview. Next there.
This
and
shows
then,
up because of the fact that
because we checked the tort.
Right.
He's still with us.
So this is, but this is what are your documents? Isn't this supposed to be your clients?
Right. This is what we were saying about the confusion with you and your using this in our.
Right.
Can we just say answer the rest of the questions as if you were the client? I mean, we did that somewhere else, and I think
I don't think so, because I think the client typically is not going to be answering. This form is usually for attorneys. So I think you could just say what are the documented, rather than your.
Okay.
That's good fix. I like that.
Nice fix.
Too.
Thanks, Caroline.
Okay. And then.
So then it would be one of the other damages.
I mean, they are filling it in for someone, though, right? I'm just curious because I thought I'd understood that, but maybe I misunderstood that.
This is always for plaintiff, this form?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's fair enough to say the damages, the expenses. I think it's only going to be one party.
And I don't think. Do you want placeholder text there?
No, we'll take that out.
Oh, okay.
It shows up in a couple of places that we just haven't cleaned out yet.
Okay.
Again, this is because of tort. So now here we've gone as plaintiff. So
Now here just say, are there other?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, they're okay.
And describe plaintiff's injury.
An injury here probably doesn't need to be physical injury, right? So.
Right.
No.
Would this be a area
medical
multi-line input, or is it really a small space?
I think it's a very small space. It's like one line on the form.
Yeah.
So it might say summarize rather than describe.
Briefly describe. Yeah, they say briefly.
Oh, but we've made it into one block. Yeah, so it should be a little bit longer.
Maybe just make it be an area that's a little bit bigger than just a text box.
Yeah.
I'm introducing a limit.
Could be a small area, but with a character limit.
Right. Okay. And I think we said yes, right? That's why this question came up.
And that's a dollar amount too.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are dollar amounts. By the way, you can there's cent by cent, because we name them as currency, but we get this cent by cent scroll.
Do you want to make it so it's limited, so you have to increment by $1? That is a choice you can make.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's
probably
the value is called
although
step. So you can make the step 1.
Okay.
And that'll make it so you can only increment by whole dollars.
Would that, I mean, what if there's, $475.29? Would the attorney, do the attorneys normally, I don't fill in the cents, or is it like your taxes where you round everything up?
I think they probably just want whole dollar. I think they'd be used to doing it in dollars, but.
So I think I recall what they're saying is that they're saying this isn't actually the complaint. This is just an indication of the monetary jurisdiction. So they want to bring it within the jurisdiction. So it doesn't form, it's not part of the papers. It's just to give the court an idea of how the kind of dollar value.
We could even put in the instructions rounded to the next dollar, nearest dollar or something.
And this is a language thing, but because I don't know if it's clear it's asking for $1. I might have said total contract claims and I see a number input. I do see the $sign there, but I might have thought it's like how many contract claims I have.
Yeah.
Oh,
the value of them.
The total value.
Okay.
Amount? So you want to say amount, Caroline?
I don't know. I think Quentin's idea is, well, value. I don't know. It's law talk.
But amount is actually still, again, it could be a numerate number or it could be a dollar value, right? So
So
I think
value is
amount
zero.
is usually currency, but
But if you're
that's just
saying
me.
total amount of contract claims, you could say I have 2 contract
Yeah, I
claims.
suppose, because if you say total amount, it's like saying total number.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
that's a better.
So total
So
value.
you could say dollar value even, dollar value.
Dollar value of contract
Yeah.
claims?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when you say the STIP, is the STIP stuff in the DocAssemble documentation that we can just look up how to do that?
Yeah, I'll pop it in. I'll pop it into the code channel too.
Okay.
I love a guy who can take a hint. Okay. So this is popping up now because
We
we've
checked
also
related
selected-
actions,
Right.
and I don't know any
Wait, why are you
counties
saying this is popping up? Because why?
We selected related, that there are related actions.
that
in-
there are
Oh.
related actions. Yeah, and I don't know any counties in
Oh, I was gonna say Wichita
Massachusetts.
again. Barnstable is one.
Yeah, right. Like I'm gonna type in that and on a live Zoom share screen. Shoot.
Okay, so this is something that we need to deal with. There were basically there's 2 places to sign on the form. This is kind of just some stuff that we need to fix on our end.
There are 2 places to sign.
Yeah, there's a certification that we need to include that we were looking at yesterday from the notice of limited appearance. The attorney needs to certify certain things. So if we go back to the PDF, you can see if you're an attorney, you have to sign in 2 places. If you're pro se, you only sign in 1 place. So it pulls through both of those.
So in your previous question, you have two dates.
Yeah, but we just need to take that away. We need to figure out how to deal with that, basically. Bless you, Quentin. So that's something that we're going to deal with on our end. It shouldn't be coming up, basically.
Right.
So you're thinking you're just going to have 1 date.
Yeah, and it's going to be the signature date.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because either you're an attorney and you're signing in both places, or you're a per se user and you're signing in 1 place. But
Right.
Ben said kind of along the lines of that they put per se user to try and make it inclusive, but in reality, this is not completed by per se users.
Right, but I mean, basically, it doesn't matter how many spots on the form, it's all the same date.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So and then you select the county. Here's my counties right here. Yeah.
Wait,
And
did
how do I
anybody
pick?
ask about what was the county question before?
That was about related actions.
The
So
related actions.
Oh,
what county is your other related action?
gotcha. So it could be a different
Right.
county. Yeah.
So
Now,
this is showing up.
This shouldn't show up, and we haven't sussed this out yet.
Let's check the source button and see if we might be able to figure it out now. I know that's not the purpose of the demo, but
Okay, where's the source
next to
button?
mass access on the top.
Oh, up here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
and then at the bottom of this page is where it will give you the most direct answer.
All the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it looks like you are actually asking for it right in your code block.
Okay.
So you might want to put wherever that is behind an if statement. So here, maybe, if we scroll up a little bit, what else is?
Now your blue line's moving.
If is attorney and is representing plaintiff. That's the only place you seem to ask for it. Is there a reason why that would show even if you're not an attorney?
I don't.
There shouldn't be.
Besides from
I think, so if is attorney is false, you would never get to that point.
Can you press Command F on the page and look for attorney dot?
Control.
Or Control F, sure, and look for attorney, and let's just see where it shows up down here. String attorney.
That could be it too, yeah, definitely. Okay, so you can just comment out that line. You don't need that.
Okay.
You don't need either one of those, I don't think.
Well, you need the first one. here is still needed.
No,
No,
she means
the
defendants. You need string
strings.
defendants.
Oh, you don't need defendants either. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so we comment out both of those strings. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I guess this was probably one of those 20-minute things that we should have asked about a long time ago, because we're like, why isn't it working anyway? So, okay.
Y'all
So
are one of the worst teams about the 20-minute limit.
No.
Yeah. Well, we could, because it's all so close. We almost know
Exactly. You
it.
think, oh, I'm going to try this. No, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this 4 hours later.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so here's our PDF in. Let me get rid of that. Sorry. With everything filled in.
And you can see the maths.
It does the math. And it's got the dates.
Did you put a signature? Oh, you're previewing it, right?
Yeah, this is just the preview. And these are, you see these check boxes are filled in, that kind of stuff. And then the signature.
Did you put a docket number? This is a.
No, there's
You don't have a docket.
No, you don't have a docket number yet. No.
No, the court fills that out, I think.
Yeah.
So now this is another problem, is that when we sign, it asks for
Because we had said, but maybe this will be when we comment out those strings, they'll come. This will go away, or one of these will go away.
No, that specific thing won't change that, but you'll have to kind of do the same thing. See, look on that screen what might be triggering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I'm guessing it's probably the attachment block would be my guess. So in the attachment block, you just put it behind an if statement.
Okay. The HH was the attorney, right?
No, the
HH was, yeah, I think so. I don't remember.
Well, look at the bottom of the screen and you'll see what it's asking for.
Okay, so it's in the list of signatures. So in somewhere you're creating that list signature fields.
I would again
You might
search
have
for
manually done it.
certification signature and see where it's showing up. Control F. Keep going, look for it again, because that's just where the question is. Not what triggered it.
Oh, okay. Well, it could
There you
still
go.
be just the attachment block. Yeah, there's no if statement there, so that would do it.
Okay.
Um,
So the
you
if statement
could-
goes in the tags.
It might also be somewhere else, but
Yeah, there's two other spots down here.
look at the ifs.
No, they're signature
Oh,
fields.
there
That's
you got
what
it.
is.
Two signatures
here.
right there. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
both
so
of,
put
both
that
of those
inside
are
an if
causing it.
statement.
Yeah.
Okay.
But are you already using the skip undefined on the attachment block?
If you just scroll up.
If we scroll down, I think we saw it below. Or either way, actually, it looks like both ways. Yeah, go up.
Okay.
You're right. I see the attachment block is up a little bit. So the top of the attachment block.
There.
If undefined is true, so the one in the attachment block you can
okay.
leave alone. Just change that definition of signature fields so it's contingent based on whether there is an attorney or not.
Okay. Okay.
And then it just goes submit to court.
Yeah. Let's see, where am I? Do I need to go up for the next? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, and then it lets you, I guess, this goes all the way back.
I thought we
And
fixed
this
this
sends
with
it off.
so this was something that we did fix, and then I don't know why it's not pulling up those numbers. Michelle and I put them in a line
What numbers?
see, it was like
Oh,
one
those
preview.
numbers.
Oops, sorry.
Just need an empty line between. So
Yep.
if it's inside an if statement, then it might be that the if statement's eating the extra line that you need.
Okay.
Okay.
Before you have a numbered list, there has to be a whole empty line.
Oh, okay.
And then it looks like the spacing too after the make changes button. You want to have a whole empty line before the submit to court button.
Oh, okay.
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 Mm-hmm.
And there's our final form with those
All right.
wonderful signatures in, which
Oh.
this is being recorded. Those really aren't my signatures.
Why is one way bigger than the other?
I don't know.
Because it was way smaller and it expands to fit the space.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that is our. I think we've got a lot to work on.
That
we
is
got a lot to work on.
awesome, people. That is
There's a lot
freaking
to this
awesome.
form, yeah. That's good
Yeah,
work.
there's a lot of details here.
Yeah, and then as we got to, Ben was like, "Well, no one's actually ever really gonna use it." So
Yeah.
we've been working on this so hard. So, but it's a really good learning experience.
You've
Like
learned a
It
lot.
is a very,
Yeah.
yes.
so, and you know, what did you say? Lance is gonna be the most. It's gonna be the best designed, most useless form.
Yeah.
But hopefully people will use it. We'll see. Because I think this is what we were saying is we wanted to add in a place where people could drop in their complaint as a PDF, and then they can get that as a way to file this in, because this is one of the forms that the court has agreed to get submitted.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's
So-
kind of like our value add.
Yeah, I mean, then it becomes a form everybody uses versus no one
It's a
using it.
tool for people to be able to submit their forms. Yeah.
Kind of
Right.
like what we were saying about MAID and the
Default judgment.
right.
Mhm.
I mean, we could just have a page that was like, drop in your form to submit it to the court. But then I think it might be abused. People won't know which form.
Well,
to
even
drop in
so,
there.
you need this for the if you're going to file in Superior Court, you need this sheet.
I
right?
just meant a generic form.
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
agree. I totally agree with you. But the thing is, remember, the court has to approve the form.
That's what I was saying. I was saying that if you have a generic one, then I think people won't be as careful about what they drop in there. That's all.
Well, and the court won't approve it.
Exactly. That'll
Okay.
just cause more problems. But
So now the issue remains with the mess of like the very bungled kind of situation that we're sitting with in terms of our code. I'm going to lose electricity in like 20 minutes or 18 minutes for 2.5 hours.
Gosh.
So it's going to be dark and cold. It's really cold here. But I've written down the issues, but now I'm a bit concerned about where we're going to put the issues. And I'm just, I was wondering if perhaps we could set up a meeting with maybe Michelle or Quentin, depending on availability, to try and wrangle the situation that we have with our code right now. Perhaps tomorrow morning or something, I'm not sure. I don't think both of us need to be on the call. I mean, we can record it. But yeah, it's a bit all over the place. And I don't want to make issues and it's something that's then not the correct place and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if we have our own GitHub repo, we can put the issues in there, right?
You do have it now, right?
We do have it now, but the problem is
but we don't have
repo,
code in there.
That repo code isn't, the code in that repo is definitely not the most updated code.
But you have the most updated code, right?
We have it.
I do.
We don't know where it came. Lance has it.
But what I'm saying is, if you have it, you could push it to your new repo.
Okay.
You can use the repo now. Once you've made it, you can use it.
Yeah.
As long as you linked it to David and Quentin to give the team permissions.
I think I did that. I'll double check. I think I did that when I also gave you permission to transfer. I think I saw that, and I'll do it. I'll double check now.
I got an email from Quentin giving permission, but I think that maybe what we could do is, obviously I'm conscious of people's time. I just, if we could just, so you're saying that we can push the code that Lance has in his playground right now, which is
you'd make a new project. You'd pull your new repo, and you only have one YAML file, right?
Well, that's another problem. I don't know why I don't know why or how this happened, but now we've got 2 YAML files, one with capital letters and one with
in camel case.
Okay, but the one that you showed us on Lance's computer, that YAML file is the one that you want, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So what you can do is you start a new project, you pull from your new GitHub repository, you copy the existing working YAML file from the one you're in now, you paste it into your new project, and then you push it to GitHub, and it will overwrite, it'll overwrite, update, be a new branch for your new repository, and then you're good.
Okay.
Okay.
So that can be the
So
working
basically, rather than fixing it, we just start over with all the.
You're fixing I mean, it's a quick way to get the latest get the latest code into your existing repo on GitHub.
Okay.
And you still have the benefit of all of the commit history and track changes. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter where it comes from. If it's the right text, GitHub will handle it and see it as though you edited the file that you think was the right one.
Yeah, and then you don't have to be as long as you like this version of YAML.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be some things that you lost.
Minor things like a line or
that
two.
You don't know. Yeah, but you don't want to have to reconstruct, and you don't want to have to do a diff and all that if you actually are happy with this one and you know how you want to update it.
Okay, I like that fix. So new project, we pull the new GitHub repo, then we copy and paste this YAML, paste that into the playground, and then what do you do? Commit to a new branch, and that.
Commit to a new branch, which will go to your new repo because you just pulled that.
Yeah.
And then you do a pull request and merge it.
Yeah.
And the pull won't delete anything because it's a completely different repo. So it won't delete this code that's on my computer.
No, won't touch it.
It's a different project.
Right.
As long
it's a
as you
different
start
project.
a new
Yeah.
project.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So we will try that. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it, and thank you for the feedback.
Yeah. 20 minutes, Maeve.
Just make sure to close the other tab with your other project first, so that you're making sure that you are really pulling into the new project. Because if you accidentally go to the wrong tab and then you hit pull, you're gonna be very unhappy.
And
Either that or copy and paste the code into like a code snippet in your Slack.
We've saved it.
Yeah. We've done that part.
And your new project, remember, your new project, you can call it anything, like brand new version of bloody blah. You know what I mean? So the project name is completely different, and you'll know you're on it. Because you're never that project name doesn't go anywhere except on your playground.
What is the difference in what is a I've never really understood this. Is this something you can explain in under a minute, or is it?
So a project is a collection of files, and a package is the files you cherry pick to go onto your repository in GitHub. I mean, yeah, exactly. So a project can have both multiple files and multiple packages.
Think of it as like it's just a folder where it's on your computer for you to organize all your stuff. And then the package is the thing that gets installed and moved around on GitHub.
Right.
It's just the files you pick. So you're like, these files, put them in the folder on GitHub, the rest of them leave out.
Okay. Got it.
With some details.
Lance, could I ask you to you have the link to our new repo. Could I ask you to do that push and commit and the PR, and then when we get power again, I will. Or do you want to do it together when we can do like a...
Maybe we do it together when you have power.
So we can share blame if something goes wrong?
Yeah, that's right.
Lots of times it's 2 people. It's great to do it together, I think.
Right. I'm thinking more so I can blame you if we...
Okay, perfect. So I will be out now until...
Well, just ping me when you're up. I mean, when you're back on again, it's I'll be here and we can do it. And if it has to be in the morning, then we'll do it in the morning.
Okay, perfect.
Depending on when your power comes up.
Yeah,
it should be on in 2.5 hours. You want to go over.
Yeah, and ping Michelle then 5 minutes after we start.
Yeah, perfect.
To go over to the GitHub, but like if you want to go over the code. Either one or both of those are fine.
Right,
I don't know if Quentin is available. So if Quentin is available, that's also good.
Well,
he's good at looking at strange code, like other people's code. So
Yeah.
It takes me a little longer to get
Anything
oriented.
GitHub is always so daunting, right?
Right.
I realize that you have a history, but still, deleting code is always
It's scary.
looming over our heads.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
It's frustrating. It makes you feel like an idiot, GitHub.
Yeah.
guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And
Yeah,
we'll see you
thanks,
guys in
and
2.5 hours.
for all your great input and help with sorting these things out. Well,
Thanks, Mia.
You're welcome.
Claps.
Good luck.
Thank you, Mia. Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.